Imagine this. There was a clean exit strategy for Chicago, a way out with dignity, a way out that didn't stain Angel Reese's name. But instead of professionalism, the Sky chose chaos. And now we're here. Court of public opinion is open. Welcome to PoliSports Tea Time, where law, politics, culture, and economics meet. And tonight, the broken sky flew straight into a legal hurricane. We putting on the social justice robes. Not the city, not the fans, the organization, the leadership, the decision makers, the folks who took a 22-year-old superstar, sold out arenas, record merch, a revived franchise, and still mishandled her career. Charge: failure to protect Angel Reese's brand, earning power, and career. Not just on court, not just in media, across the entire women's basketball ecosystem. Real talk. Angel wasn't just a player. She was the engine. She was a cultural heartbeat, and the Sky fumbled the bag and the future. So here's the question the franchise never wanted asked. Should Angel Reese sit or should she sue? Because silence ain't protection. Silence is permission. And this court refuses to give permission for exploitation. My court is now in session. Let's get to the evidence. But first, let me bring in my co-counsel, the legal backbone, Political Lil.
Thank you, Auntie Seth. Ooh, right. Counselor Seth. Before we present the facts, let's get something straight for the jury, the public, because this isn't just gossip. This isn't just basketball talk. This is a mock case that could have real legal weight. What happened to Angel Reese could potentially fall under multiple legal frameworks that protect workers, public figures, and contracted information. Public narratives that damage reputation with recklessness or intentional disregard for the truth. We're talking Title VII discrimination, workplace hostility, unequal treatment, and racially coded narratives that impact Black women differently. We're talking breach of contract and implied covenant of good faith, meaning a team cannot sabotage the working conditions or professional value of players they contract. We're talking negligent misrepresentation, the win now lie that sold a dream, pressured a second-year player into a toxic work environment, and concealed the true status of the franchise in disarray. We're talking exploitation and unjust enrichment, using Angel's name, likeness, charisma, and cultural power to revive a struggling team while failing to provide the protection, support, and infrastructure future. And finally, damage to the brand value, the currency of the modern athlete. When a franchise harms, they aren't just harming reputation, they are harming future earnings, partnerships, and generational wealth. With that framework established, Counselor says, let's proceed to the statement of the fact.
Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Exhibit A, the lottery absence, every franchise pulled up to the lottery like it mattered, except Chicago, okay? This is Exhibit A. They said Nadia Rawlings, operations manager. Podium was empty. No players, no presence, no unity. That's not silence. That's politics. It screams distrust. It screams dysfunction. It screams, we don't believe in this franchise. When players disappear, the message is loud. Exhibit B, Angel Reese's public comments. We're not selling for the same shit. That ain't a quote. That's the verdict. That's frustration. That's betrayal. That's a final warning shot from your star. In Chicago, calling out the front office is not a combo. It's a red flag. Willis Tower blinking danger all the way down Michigan Avenue. Exhibit C, the GM's hit piece. Suddenly, anonymous sources called Angel difficult, diva, uncoachable. That's not PR. That's a smear job. Chicago didn't protect this star. Chicago weaponized the media against this star. Deep dish smear campaign. Extra sauce. No accountability. That damages brand value. That sabotages endorsement money. That takes long-term earning power. Exhibit D. Exploitation of Angel's brand. Ticket sales up. Merch sales up. Ratings up. Partnerships up. You see the pattern? Angel made the Sky money. But what did the Sky give her? No stability. No infrastructure, no protection. Again, see the pattern? They treated a 22-year-old superstar like an ATM, then cashed her out and gave her nothing back. This ain't negligence, it's structural failure. This organization drained her, smeared her, exploited her, and failed her. court of public opinion ain't confused. It's clear. And now, Exhibit E goes to my co-counsel, Political Lil, because this chaos deserves its own entire legal brief.
Thank you, Counselor Seth. Now let's move to Exhibit C, organizational chaos. Chicago didn't just struggle, they imploded. A 10-34 record that looked less like a professional season and more like a cautionary tale. This wasn't rebuilding, this was a free fall. They fired a lived experienced WNBA Hall of Fame head coach after only one season. One. That kind of turnover isn't restructuring. It's instability. It's the kind of chaos that tells players, we don't have a plan, we just have panic. And players, especially rookies, feel that. They live that. Then comes the most Chicago thing of all. They traded their own pick, and now Minnesota walks away with the number 2 selection. Imagine losing big all season only to hand another team the reward. That's not mismanagement. That's malpractice. The kind of move that would get somebody fired in any other industry, except apparently the Chicago Sky GM. Facilities delayed, roster instability, promises made, promises broken, the so-called win now pitch that became lose big kind, and blame the players. It was a bait and switch that set the entire team up for failure, leaving Angel Reese to carry the marketing load while drowning in structural dysfunction. In summary, Chicago didn't just fail to support Angel Reese, they built an environment that actively undermined her. And with these exhibits established, we can proceed to the legal arguments.
We start with the loudest violation, defamation. Not vibes, not rumors, receipts. To prove it, Angel only needs to show lies were told, lies were intentional or reckless, lies were fed to media, lies damaged her reputation and economic value, and the bogus suspension sits dead center in this mess. Chicago didn't leak they Planet Poison. Diva, difficult, uncoachable. That's Planet Poison. That's not critique. That's character assassination. This is the playbook used on black women for decades. Smear her, shrink her marketability, slow down endorsements. And Chicago tried to run it, but Angel shredded it. Performance receipts, professional receipts, trademark receipts, a fan base that ain't fooled. See, we don't call discrimination loose. We call it when the pattern is undeniable. Was Angel held to different standards than others? Yes. Was she blamed for organizational failure? Yes. Were gendered and racial stereotypes used against her? Yes. Was she denied support routinely given to white stars? Yes. That's Title VII territory. And Chicago walked right into that courtroom with muddy shoes. See, black women in sports must be perfect just to be treated as good. Perfect to be treated equal. Perfect to be treated marketable. Angel wasn't just battling opponents. She was battling an environment set up to break her. That's not culture. That's discrimination disguised as coaching decisions. This count ain't emotion. It's legal.
Thank you, Counselor Seth. Now let's talk about contract law, because this is where the Chicago Sky's dysfunction becomes legally relevant. Even if Angel's contract doesn't promise championships or playoff runs, every sports contract does include something called the implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing, meaning the team must make a good faith effort to build a competitive roster. They must provide a safe and supportive workplace. They must maintain a professional development environment. They cannot intentionally sabotage a player's growth, health, or brand. Well, 2 seasons of chaos, 2 seasons of turnover, 2 seasons of bad decision-making, 2 seasons of Chicago style, we'll figure it out later, a marketing win-now con that reeks of consumer fraud written all over his face. That is not a good faith effort. That is not competent management. That is a breach adjutant behavior. This one is simple. Chicago sold Angel a dream, then handed her a nightmare. They sold the fan base on marketing con and had her and her cultural cachet as the face of the fraud. Management promised her a competitive roster, organizational stability, new facilities, a team ready to contend for the playoffs. But what did she get? Chaos, constant losing, delayed facilities, coaching turnover, and a roster that looked like it was built on a clearance rack at the outlet mall. If you bring a player into your franchise under promises you never intended to keep or never had the capacity to deliver, that's misrepresentation, plain and simple. This wasn't win now. It was win never. Blame the star. Count 5, unjust enrichment, exploitation of the brand. Chicago cashed out on Angel Reese. Cash, but didn't invest. Revenues jumped. Merch moves. Sponsorship climbed. TV views spiked. Social engagement exploded. Angel made the sky relevant again. And what did she get? No winning roster, no protection, no professional infrastructure, no accountability from leadership. That's unjust enrichment, textbook style. The organization took more value from Angel than they ever returned. Chicago walked away richer. Angel walked away burdened. That's exploitation. That's actionable. Option, her legal remedies, sit or sue. Go ahead, counselor.
Angel, here's the first weapon. Sit out. Veterans love it. Front offices fear it. Sports law professors study it. But let's be clear. A sit out hits the franchise immediately. Record tanks, locker room fractures, relevance evaporates. Your absence becomes the headline, the wake-up call they can't spin away. And history shows the pattern. Sit out. Pressure. Trade. It worked for Sabrina, New York. Jonquil, Connecticut. Cambage, Las Vegas. EDD, DC. Sylvia, Minnesota. Blueprint, proven. But risk ain't imaginary. Media villainization, diva, unprofessional, ungrateful. No destination control. Ain't ship you anywhere now. Missed checks. CBA is unforgiving. And here's the key legal read. Chicago already tried to paint Angel as the problem. A sit-out gives them more paint, more ammo, more narrative fuel. This is why option 1 is old model power. But Angel's situation demands new model leverage. And that leads directly into option 2, the nuclear option with precision, documentation, and courtroom teeth. Go ahead, Political Lou.
Now, Angel, let me break this down like a strategist, because option 2, that's not just a legal move, that's a power move. This is the new age athlete autonomy, game changer. The Angel Reese special. Let's talk about why suing might be your strongest card. Number 1, it's a PR move. You control the narrative. The moment you file that complaint, you stop being the villain they tried to create. You become the victim of mismanagement, negligence, and defamation. The PR framing flips instantly. Angel quits, become Angel fights back. Angel is difficult, become Angel defends her rights. You don't lose control of the story. You take it back. 2, discovery, the real tea spills. A lawsuit forces the Chicago Sky to hand over all the goods, emails, texts, internal memos, Slack messages, group chats, performance reviews, draft notes, meeting records. Everything they said behind closed doors get dragged into the light. Discovery is where the tea turns into evidence. And Chicago doesn't want none of that smoke. Number 3, the path to a contract release. Most suits end in settlement. Translation, you get the exact thing you want, freedom. Chicago lets you out of your deal, you walk. You choose your next team on your own terms. No holdout, no fine, no suspension, clean break. Number 4, no quitter narrative. You never sit out. You never walk away. You never give them a chance to spin you as abandoning the team, because you're not a quitter. You are protecting your rights, your career, and your reputation through lawful means. That's the difference between emotion and strategy. And number 5, brand protection and elevation. A lawsuit doesn't harm your brand, it elevates it. You become a pioneer for player rights, a face of athletic empowerment, a voice for Black women facing systemic bias in professional sports. This positions you not as a star, but as a movement. Public opinion shift. And let's be honest, the court of public opinion is already on your side. The fans see the dysfunction. The media sees the inconsistency. The receipts are all over social media. You don't lose public support, you gain it. Because legally standing up against mistreatment is more palatable and powerful than walking out on a team. Angel, between sit and sue, one option makes you a headline, the other makes you history.
Ladies and gentlemen of this court of public opinion, let me make this crystal clear so Chicago's front office hears it behind every tinted glass pane. Angel Reese is not stuck. Angel Reese is not powerless. Angel Reese is not trapped inside a failing franchise. She's an asset, an economic engine, a brand with cultural currency, generational reach, and undeniable gate shift power. And if Chicago can't protect that, if they can't develop that, if they can't respect that, then she has every right to protect herself. Let's review the violations on the record. Chicago misrepresented a win now vision and delivered chaos. Chicago breached good faith by offering zero structural support. Chicago defamed her through strategic media whispers and character hits. Chicago engaged in coded Title VII discrimination by stereotyping a Black woman athlete. Chicago profited unjustly off her brand while returning crumbs. These aren't emotions. These are legal grounds. These are causes of action. These are precedent level failures. Sitting out sends a message, but suing exposes the machinery. Suing forces accountability. Suing protects her career and rewrites the playbook for every Black woman athlete coming after her. Angel Reese is not the chaos. Angel Reese is the case law. She is the precedent. And the question before this court is it complicated? Do we let a franchise mishandle a superstar and walk away unbothered, or do we demand consequences? Counselor Lil, close the case.
Well, thank you, Counselor Seth. Let me make this plain for the jury. Everything we presented today is actionable, not emotional, not hypothetical, not fan fiction, actionable. Defamation, we showed the leaks, the coded language, the smear campaign, Title VII discrimination. We demonstrated the double standards, the stereotypes, and unequal treatment. Breach of good faith, we exposed the instability, the broken promises, the systemic negligence. Negligent misrepresentation, we highlighted the false recruiting pitch, the fail win now fantasy, the organizational bait and switch, unrich ingestment. We proved that the franchise ate off Angel Reese's plate while giving her crumbs in return. This wasn't a case of a player who didn't perform. This was a case of a team that didn't protect. And in professional sports, where brand, health, and narrative are currency, failing to protect a star is failing at a fundamental duty of a franchise. Angel Reese has the right to defend her name, defend her career, defend her economic power, and defend her legacy. Chicago had one job built around her. Instead, they built excuses. So now the question returns to the jury, our audience. Should Angel sit or should Angel sue? Because tonight we didn't just present a case, we presented a blueprint, a roadmap, a new era of athlete autonomy. And whatever verdict the people choose, just know the Chicago Sky will feel it.
All right, y'all. Jury of the culture, the court is now in your hands. You heard the evidence. You saw the receipts. You watched how a franchise mishandled her, isolated her, smeared her, and used media as a weapon. So here's the question that matters. If that were your daughter, your sister, your investment, what would you tell her to do? Sit or sue?
Because let's be very clear. This isn't just a Chicago Sky issue. This is a woman's sport eco issue, a Black woman in sports visibility issue, a power structure protecting itself issue. Angel Reese has two choices: sit out, which protects their system; sue, which protects her rights, her brand, her body, her career. And we're done pretending Black women should just take it. Not in 2025, not in this WNBA, not with the receipts that we have.
So what's your verdict, jury? Do you choose the quiet protest or the public reckoning? Drop your vote in the comments right now. Hashtag sit or sue and tell us why.
And remember, this verdict isn't just about Angel Reese. It's about setting a new precedent. Black women athletes deserve safety. They deserve respect. They deserve transparency. And when a franchise violates that, the culture decides the consequence. Ladies and gentlemen, the verdict is yours. Sit or sue. Tell us. Put a 1 in the comment if it's sit, and put a 2 in the comment if it's sue.
Let's make this plain. In Angel Reese vs. Chicago Sky, the ruling hits like a subpoena. Not petty, not emotional, not drama. We talking contract violations, institutional negligence, public defamation, hostile environment, misrepresentation, exploitation. This guy benefited from a black woman's labor without protecting the black woman doing the labor. And that's not culture, that's liability. Angel Reese is not stuck. She's not helpless. She's not trapped. She's the asset. She is the engine. She is the brand. She is the economic force. If the Chicago Sky won't safeguard that value, then she has every right to safeguard herself by any legal means necessary. The court of public opinion has delivered the facts. Now the jury renders the outcome. Sit or sue. What's the verdict? Drop it in the comments.
And thank you to everybody for tuning in, because y'all showed up for a conversation that goes way deeper than highlights and hot takes. What we explored tonight wasn't about moments. It was about systems. Systems where contracts get breached quietly. Hostile work environments are brushed off as tough coaching. And oppression becomes disrespect layered into policy. Systems where black excellence is celebrated on the court, but policed everywhere else. Tonight, we didn't just talk sports. We talked power. We talked justice. We talked what happens when you can't repair the breach, so you take it to court. So before you go, like, share, and jump into the comments. Support athlete-owned brands. Support the right of black women to protect their labor. Stay tapped into CessTalksSports and PoliSports Tea Time. Visit www.respecthergame.online and stand on business for these athletes.
Remember, sports are never just about the games played. They're about the stories told and the systems we expose. We follow the money. We name the power. We rip the mask off the machine. Pull up to the live mock courtroom. You get the mic. You get the vote. You get to make your position clear. This is Sess, your favorite auntie with uncle tendencies and political will for CessTalksSports, BWISE PoliSports Tea Time, where sports, power, and justice collide. Stay tuned. Talk soon, y'all. We out.